Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. It's a rapidly changing world, and rural Vermont is not immune to the upheavals of change. How do we anticipate, vision, and adapt to the challenges and possibilities change brings? The nonprofit Vermont Council on Rural Development, or VCRD, has been helping Vermont shift into a future designed by us to cultivating leadership and harnessing the needs and aspirations of rural Vermont and its communities for over 25 years. Leading that effort since 2000 is lifelong Vermonter and Executive Director of the Vermont Council on Rural Development, Paul Costello. Thank you for joining us again
Fran.
today.
It's very nice of you.
Yeah, this is great. The Vermont Council on Rural Development organizes important statewide summits and major initiatives like Working Landscape and Digital Economy. But today we're going to talk about your direct work in communities and Vermont villages and towns, etc. Let's just start with community visits. What are they and what are you trying to accomplish there?
Well, a community visit is a 6-month-long process where we come in with a pretty disciplined set of steps where we bring together people of all walks of life, all ages, artists, farmers, business leaders, municipal leaders, and regular folks to say, you know, what are the things we should explore as a community? We frame out focus forums on those, and we go out and we say, who are the top state, federal, nonprofit leaders in Vermont who should listen, potentially reflect with the community, and maybe later would have resources, technical assistance, human resources, or even funding to help that community move forward. So the whole thing is like a big wide funnel. We hear from everyone in the community. We ask, what do you stand for? What are your challenges and opportunities? What are the things that you should act on to move your community forward? We put all the ideas we hear up on the wall of the gymnasium, and people argue over which thing makes the most difference for their town. So instead of choosing, you know, building a problem statement or the list of great things that someone could do someday, you're saying, what's the thing we're going to do together as a town right now to drive our opportunities forward and make ourselves more attractive for the next generation and all that work.
And priorities. And you guys actually produced a short video that is so good and so clear. Just to reiterate some of what you've just said, we're going to take a quick look at that video. Let's take a look.
The community visit process is a 3-month series of public meetings. So the first step in the community visit process is Community Visit Day. We invite the whole community together to a series of public forums. And in these forums, we ask folks to say, what are the assets in this topic area? What are the challenges? And most importantly, what are the ideas for action?
We talk about actions. I want to see these actions take place. I want to be able to see the younger generation stay here and not leave, and see how important this small town is.
Yeah. After Community Visit Day, we look at all the notes that come from those community forums and we bring them back to the community a month later for Community Meeting Day. We put all the ideas up on the wall and have a dot voting exercise to come to those top priorities. And that night, we ask people to sign up for task forces to help to move those forward.
I'm not prepared to talk much about it. In the sessions today, we talked about all the positive things that were going on and how we can maybe enhance those positive things. And it isn't something that one person can achieve, it's a community.
They're making connections already of things that we didn't realize. So that's very impressive. It's just awesome.
In the final step of the process, we have what we call Community Resource Day. And we bring with us a visiting resource team of experts and leaders, folks that could offer technical assistance, folks that might be able to bring financial assistance, and also, maybe other community leaders who have done these things in their towns.
What I think is one very positive aspect of this is the visiting team, because these are experts, people who have done this before. They have the expertise that we don't have, but maybe we have the fervor, the enthusiasm, because it's our town. So you get their expertise and our heart, you mix those together and you ought to have a good outcome, which I think we will.
You know, the process isn't about what we think is best for the town. It's not about what people in Montpelier or DC think is best for the town. It's all about what's important to the community and what the community wants to get done together.
We're excited to partner with VCRD because we know that they excel in engaging a community and helping a community identify its own priorities. It helps a community kind of rediscover its identity and think about the future of who it wants to be for the next generation. And it just feels, like democracy in action, the real deal. So it's really very inspiring.
Lincoln called democracy an experiment. It's not something that's done. It's not something you can take for granted. It's something that we make real, and in Vermont we make it real town by town every day.
And here in the studio we have the Executive Director of the Vermont Council on Rural Development, Paul Costello. Again, so very exciting stuff. So a favorite quick story of success from one of these community visits?
Well, there's so many. We've been to 70 towns now, and
okay.
But one that was really striking was Johnson, where they were looking at streetscape improvements, they were looking at water and sewer issues. Someone came in and said, we need to do something about housing. We've got some real housing problems. And they also said, we're like bubbles. Our community has their veterans groups, the arts groups, the downtown groups, the college folks on the Hill, and we don't intersect. We've got communities within our community. And so they decided to, they built a new housing development. They did a multi-million-dollar streetscape redevelopment. We had the Secretary of Transportation in town. Their bridges went from being in the middle, low part of the transportation priority list to the top. They did all the bridge replacements and downtown redevelopment. And then they built a Party on the Green, their Thursday night live program that brings together all those groups, and everyone shared invitation to their folks so that suddenly there's a party for the entire community every week, and they mix and mingle, and it's been a blast for that town. So, we don't come in to say what we think is the best thing.
Right.
Every town is different. Every town is creative in doing this. But what I like about the video is it's fun, but it also is really ennobling. It's like you feel a democracy in action. You feel this patriotism for your place and this deep sense that together we can do things. And in the world we live in, we need to have that. We need to have that sort of commitment. And Vermont embodies it as well as any place in this country.
And you guys helped make that happen. And even in Johnson, what I'm reminded, you also did this whole digital economy project where Front Porch Forum came in and Wi-Fi centers, but we hardly have time. We have so much to look at.
Yeah.
So how are towns chosen if a town is going, well, what about my town?
Well, we're not looking for towns that are in a crisis or anything. We're
Right.
really looking for towns that say, we don't know what's next. We want to attract more young people. We want to make it better for those who are here. We want to look at this next step of our economy. We have a lot of farmers out there, but they don't work together. Whatever it is, they kind of mull together and they approach us, and we're constantly looking at where we can be most useful. We're really looking to where we can help lever change. And so it's a bit of an art and science to evaluate the different communities that are coming to us, but we're also looking for places where the work that we do would make a significant difference. And it's always fascinating to meet all the different people that you get to see in making those decisions.
Right. Well, this is a hard question, but what have you learned about Vermont and Vermonters over the last 20 years of doing this?
Well, I have to say, and it may sound a little naive, but one of the things that you hear when you think about the economy and the loss of youth and these other things, it sounds like we're doing really bad. And the news is always really bad. But when you look at the other side, the quality of life of Vermonters, we're always ranked first or second nationally. And when you go to these small towns, you see all their problems. But if we put our problems in the hat with another state and then had to pick out, we'd be lucky to get our own problems. We have this richness of the way that we get to live and communicate. Democracy is really strong. People are really neighborly. They help each other out. The reason our process works, and we're one of the strongest state councils in the United States, the reason it works is because Vermonters are dedicated to their community, they're dedicated to the future, they stand for things, they step up, they work together. And when people do that, there's this collective initiative a spear point of collective activity that is transformative, and people feel different. Your whole town feels energized and like this is what we're all about. And so for us to be able to do that, it's like,
you
I have
help
the
make that
best job
happen.
in Vermont. The most, maybe yours is good too. But it's a fascinating process, and it's deeply uplifting. And so the thing that I notice is I really have a lot of faith in the people of Vermont to get it right. And you know, we're talking about everything from what they need for daycare to how we address climate change. And it gives me faith that we have the ability to come together and answer the big problems too.
Well, we just have a minute, but your climate economy initiative is something you're very compelled to talk about right now,
Yep.
and there are model communities. So quickly about that.
Yeah, we've taken our community visit process, which we still do, and we've said there are some towns that really want to look at how they can advance electric cars or electric transportation. How do they improve weatherization and efficiencies for all residents? What's next for energy generation in their town? How can they improve their recycling and management of waste? You know, whatever it is, we don't come in with a program to talk down to people or tell them what they should be doing, but we say, you know, as you look at this big climate challenge, what's the opportunity in your community for change? What should you be doing to be prepared for it? And maybe what are the ways that you could advance economically by attracting and supporting businesses within your community, including collaborative or cooperative work? And then how does that connect with agriculture and the future of the land in your town? And so we ask those big questions, and local folks have lots of ideas, and these aren't Republican or Democratic ideas, not right or left. It's sort of like, how do we work together, and what should we be trying to accomplish for the future of our economy? So that's been fascinating.
And some communities have stepped up and said, we'll try this out. We'll see where we can go as a model
Absolutely.
community, so more people can do this as
Yeah,
well.
and we're learning as we go too. You know, there's no answers that anyone's written down somewhere. There's no,
Right.
you know, it's a process, and that's democracy in action, right?
Right, and we can do it so well here. And
Yeah.
thanks to your organization, the Vermont Council on Rural Development. Here's how you can be in touch with the many wonderful things that they do, vtrural.org. Paul Costello, Executive Director, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Fran.
all that you've been doing.
Great to be here.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard.